Your bank account is bleeding dry because of a tiny invisible switch in your prefrontal cortex that triggers every time you hit checkout. By exploiting a psychological glitch called the decoy effect, major retailers turn your rational decisions into impulse buys before you even reach for your card. I have spent months analyzing the exact neuromarketing triggers used by Amazon and Target that force your brain to justify spending money you never intended to lose. It is happening, it is still incredibly difficult to ignore. Grab a glass of water, get comfortable, and let us look at the mechanics of influence. Most people assume that when they buy a new pair of shoes or pick up an extra item at the grocery store, it is a conscious decision made through logic. The truth is far more complex. Your brain is a massive energy saving machine, and it relies on cognitive shortcuts to make thousands of choices every day. Marketers are simply experts at identifying those shortcuts and building roads that lead directly to their products. Let us start with the easiest win for you to reclaim your decision making power: the anchoring effect. Think about the last time you walked into a high end clothing store. The first item you see is often a jacket priced at $600. That number acts as an anchor in your mind, setting a high bar for what that item should cost. A few steps later, you find a similar shirt for $100. Rationally, $100 might still be expensive for a shirt, but compared to the $600 anchor, it feels like a bargain. A study conducted by researchers at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology tested this by showing shoppers items with randomized price tags. Even when the numbers were completely arbitrary, the first price a shoppers saw skewed their perception of value for everything else in the store. You can start beating this today by simply ignoring the first price you see in a retail environment. Instead of comparing a product to its own higher price, compare it to the utility you actually need. Now, let us move to the second, more nuanced layer of psychological influence: the scarcity heuristic. Have you ever noticed how travel websites show you that there are only 2 rooms left at a specific hotel, or how an online checkout page warns you that your cart will expire in 10 minutes? That is not always a reflection of real time inventory. It is a manufactured sense of urgency. The human brain is evolutionarily wired to prioritize limited resources because, for most of human history, missing out on a resource could mean starvation. Marketers exploit this survival instinct to trigger a fear of missing out, which effectively shuts down your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for logical long term planning. A famous experiment by psychologists Stephen Werkel and Jerry Lee involved showing participants jars of cookies. Some jars had 10 cookies, while others only had 2. Even when the cookies were identical in taste and quality, the participants consistently rated the cookies from the jar with only 2 items as more valuable, more desirable, and more worth the money. When you see those little red banners on websites claiming low stock, your brain reacts as if you are losing a vital resource. If this is making sense so far, consider subscribing to the channel. I share insights like this every week. And the third method we are about to cover is even more powerful than these first 2. Okay, let us get into the one I have been saving for you: the social proof loop, specifically engineered through micro influencers. This goes beyond simple celebrity endorsements. When you see a global movie star drinking a soda, you know it is an ad. You maintain a healthy level of skepticism. But when you see someone you feel you know, someone who shares your aesthetic, your hobbies, or your struggles, it changes the chemistry of the interaction. In the early 2010s, marketing agencies realized that trust was no longer coming from polished television commercials. It was migrating to online creators. They started paying everyday people with moderate followings to integrate products into their daily routines. This is known as native advertising. It does not look like a sales pitch. It looks like life advice from a friend. Because you trust the person, you bypass your internal gatekeeper that usually filters out advertising noise. Think about the last time you bought a product based on a recommendation from a social media creator. Did you do a deep dive into the company's financial records, or did you trust that creator's experience? That is the mechanism at work. It is not just about the product, it is about the shortcut of borrowed trust. When you see an advertisement disguised as a recommendation, pause and ask yourself if you would want that product if your favorite creator had never mentioned it. That simple question breaks the spell of social proof and returns the decision to your own hands. Once you see the influence of borrowed trust, you can never unsee it. It changes everything about how you scroll through your feed. So, there you have it. 3 very real ways that marketers use psychology to nudge you toward their goals. From the anchoring effect that sets your expectations, to the artificial scarcity that creates panic, all the way to the social proof loop that weaponizes your trust. Those first 2 methods might save you some money on your next purchase, but the third one, the realization that your trust is a currency being traded by marketers, will save you from losing your autonomy altogether. It is a massive shift in how you interact with the digital world. If you found this breakdown useful, Share it with someone who needs to be more aware of these tactics and hit that subscribe button so you do not miss the next deep dive into the hidden systems of the modern world. I am currently working on a piece regarding how companies use dark patterns in user interface design to keep you stuck on their platforms for hours at a time. It is something we all deal with every single day, and I am excited to show you the tricks behind the curtain. Thanks for sticking around, and I will see you in the next one. Before we wrap up, think about the amount of information you consume in a single afternoon. It is likely in the gigabytes. Your brain is not built to filter that level of targeted messaging. It is okay to feel tired or overwhelmed by these choices. That is not a failure of character. It is a human reaction to a non human environment. The goal is not to become a hermit who buys nothing and avoids all media. The goal is to be an aware consumer who decides what to let in. You are the gatekeeper of your attention. Treat it like the limited resource it is. Keep questioning the motives behind what you see, and you will find your own purchasing habits becoming a lot more intentional. Take a moment to reflect on your own recent shopping experiences. Which of these three mechanisms did you last encounter? Was it an anchor price that made a discount look better than it was? Was it an artificial timer on an online store? Or was it a creator who seemed just a little bit too passionate about a new wellness drink? Once you start spotting these patterns, the world looks completely different. It is almost like gaining a new pair of glasses that filters out the marketing noise. Stay sharp out there and remember that your attention is the most valuable thing you have. Do not give it away for free unless you have decided it is worth the cost. That is the real power.